You know, we have a wide scope of activities that we're involved in helping the persecuted, and it can range from spreading Bibles and the gospel in the toughest areas of the world to the nonstop bandaging of victims and the healings of their bodies and putting their homes back together and getting them into safe places. But another thing we will do from time to time is trauma counseling. And I've always kind of had mixed feelings about it because there's so much art. My dad was a psychologist, and he would tell me this. You know, it's not all science. There's so much human art to it. And so it's like, is it effective? Is it not? And you never know. But you really want to use a biblical viewpoint. And we recently put on this trauma counseling, a pretty big one in Nigeria, across the country. The Christians, 3 million of them plus, have had their land stolen. And then no one knows the number, 70 to 100,000 murdered. And the government lets it go on or even encourages it behind the scenes. The government is the culprit. But forget all that. Just think of all the pain that these victims are going through and what happens when you suffer this horrible pain and this horrible loss, and it's so unjust. What's our natural reaction is going to be so much anger and bitterness and hate, and that just fuels the cycle. And what does the Lord say? This is not our natural response. He says to love our enemies. That's a supernatural thing. You don't find this on earth unless God's involved. And when people see it, that's the mark of God, right? So anyways, we do this biblical counseling and this trauma counseling across the country. There's so many amazing testimonies, and I want to just read one of them to you. This just deeply touched our heart when our regional manager from Africa was telling this. She was telling us about this at a staff meeting. So anyways, let me read this for you. But I am Mr. Z, and I am a victim and a survivor of the Fulani attack on my village, where our homes and our farmlands were all destroyed. I lost my father during the attack and some of our neighbors. I narrowly escaped. Before coming to this trauma counseling and this healing seminar, I hated the Fulanis, and I wished them dead. But during the training, I learned how to forgive my enemies. And I learned that if I don't forgive, I may be destroying myself with anger and bitterness and hatred. I feel I can now try to forgive those who killed my father. My father was the one paying my school fees, and now that he's dead, I have to drop out of school and care for my family. It is still painful, but I was able to share and write a letter, a lament letter to God, after which I felt light, as if a heavy stone was lifted from my chest. Please pray for me, as I sometimes do experience headaches and lack of sleep at night. Think about this. Pray for the victims out there. Pray for that forgiveness, that supernatural forgiveness, and that freedom, so they do not get caught up in the bitterness and in the anger, which is a prison, and it's corrosive to their soul. And that's Satan's cycle, and then they get trapped. Pray for that freedom, that they would praise God and find his rest in the midst of their deep, deep sadness and pain. And in the meantime, I just want to say thank you. Thank you for this. You're the ones behind this. You brought this to them. We're your hands and feet. So thank you for your caring for your persecuted brother and sister. God bless.